हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शतैश्वेन्द्रिय सभी चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गंगा मैया की जय, यमुना मैया की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, तुलसी महारानी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, कलियुग पावन हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, अनंत कोटि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, All glories assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamelam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Varjana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradushin Namaha Panchatattva Atmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Taptaka Anchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tarale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining in for today's reading session. We are on chapter number 4 of Srila Prabhupada's book, Krishna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. So in yesterday's session, on Friday's session, we were seeing how Ahara Nidra Bayamaitunamcha, Samanimikam, Pashubir Samanam, Dharmo Hieko Adhiko Visesho, Dharmena Hinam, Pashubir Samanam. Right? Where Prabhupada is talking about how the distinguishing factor between the animals and human beings is that the human beings have the capacity to inquire, why am I here? Who am I? Who is the Supreme Lord? What is my duty towards the Supreme Lord? If one does not inquire, then one is equal to an animal. And Prabhupada mentions how there is no need to be trained how to eat, sleep, mate, and defend, right? Because the animals also do it, right? And they are not trained in doing it, but they are still doing very expertly, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Right? And also Prabhupada is mentioning, just because we do it in a more sophisticated way, no, it does not mean that we are better off than animals, right? Unless we inquire about the absolute truth, right? Dharmohik ekam adhiko vishesho, right? We need to understand what is our dharma as human beings. If you don't do that, then and we perform tapasya, right? Human beings can also perform tapasya. Why do we perform tapasya? When we get the knowledge, Jivara Swarupe, Krishna and Nityadas, and we perform those tapasya, those austerity that help us advance in our spiritual life, that help us go back home, back to Godhead, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, so let's start reading. I request devotees who want to read to raise your hands. We will start with Asha Arya Mataji. I can see your raised hand. Mataji, please unmute yourself and then we can go ahead. There are descriptions in the Vedas from there.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji. There are descriptions in the Vedas of the Brahmacharya celibacy which characterize the beginning of a life dedicated to tapasya. Smaranam, Kirtanam, Keli, Prekshanam, Guyabhasanam, Sankalpa, Dhyayavashyasa cha, Kriya Nivritri. Evacha, Sridhara 6.1.12. To properly execute celibacy, one should not even think or talk of the sex life. Reading modern literatures and newspapers which are filled with sexual material is also against the principles of Brahmacharya. Similarly, indulging in sex in any way, looking at and whispering with girls and determining or enduring to engage in sex life are all against the principles of Brahmacharya. One executes real Brahmacharya when all the activities come to a halt. By austerity, celibacy.
When all these activities, not all activities, all these
All
activities.
these activities come to a halt. By austerity, celibacy, and control of the mind and senses, one can advance in pure life. Similarly, advancement can be made through charity properly directed. That is called tyaga, renunciation. If one has $1 million, he should not keep it. But as long as it is within his jurisdiction, he should spend it for Krishna. Money or energy is properly utilized when it is directed to Krishna. As soon as one quits his body, all his monetary resources and everything else that he has collected in connection with the body is finished. For the spirit soul transmigrates to another body, and one does not know where the money which he earned in his previous body is being kept or how it is being spent. A person may live the world declaring how the money should be spent by his sons or the heirs, but even if one lives millions of the dollars in his next life, he has no claim to it. Therefore, as long as it is in one's hand, it is better to spend it for the good purpose. If one spends it for the bad purposes, he becomes entangled. But if he spends it for the good purposes, he becomes good in return. This is very, very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita explains that there are Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavats. All right. So here, Prabhupada is talking about utility, right? Prabhupada said books are the basis, preaching is the essence, and utility is the principle, and preaching is the essence, right? So utility is a principle. That means whatever resources, Isha Vasam idam sarvam yatkinchat jagatyam jagat tena tektena bunjita magrida kasyas vidanam. So the Lord has allocated a certain amount of resources, certain amount of skills, certain amount of abilities in all of us. So what is the right use of that ability? Right? When we receive something from someone, we have to utilize it in their service, right? Otherwise, we are like thieves, right? We steal from somebody, but we don't use it in their service. So similarly here, Prabhupada is talking about how the money should be spent in the service of the Lord. Why? Because money is received from the Lord. When we are born here, we are born with nothing, right? We don't even have clothes in our body when we are born. So we are born with nothing. When we die, also we are taken to the crematorium. None of us can take even a pin, or a pin also we cannot take with us, right? So we just came without anything and we want to leave without anything. Whatever in between we acquire is from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and needs to be used in Krishna's service. So one spends it for good purposes, right? When we spend it for good purposes, what is the danger? Now we will get pious credits. We have to come back to this material body. So we have to take another material body. So what is a good purpose? A proper, actual good purpose means utilizing it in the service of the Lord or his devotees who are spreading the message of Krishna consciousness. Right? Donation to ISKCON temples, donation for prasadam distribution, right? Donation for the beautiful deity clothes like that Mayapur you get during Gaura Purnima, right? We can sponsor for the clothes of the deities, right? Not necessarily only Mayapur, all of the temples like Vrindavan, Mumbai, all the temples, right? We can sponsor dresses for the deities, right? What better use of money than utilizing it in the service of the Lord? So that is what is clearly stated, that we have to utilize everything in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rishikena, Rishikesha, Sevanam, Bhakti, Ruchyate. And Bhagavad Gita also explains, Bhagavad Gita talks about 3 kinds of charity, right? Whatever charity one performs, one has to do according to the rules and regulations. Otherwise, if it is done in ignorance, then it does not reap the actual benefit. So we will ask Karpagavalli Mataji, go ahead and read Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandatna, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita explains that there are 3 kinds of charity. Charity in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. A person in the mode of goodness knows where charity should be given. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Samo am sarva bhudesu nami devseo dvishu tinapriya e bhajanti tu mam bhaktiya mai ti desu kapi aham.
When there's a dot below S, then you need to pronounce as sh. Mai te teshu chapyaham.
Teshu kapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever rendered service to me in devotion is a friend. In me, and I am also a friend to him. Bhagavad Gita 9:21. Krishna is not in want of money.
Mataji, one second. So, Haribol, 9.29. So here, what is Krishna saying? Samoham sarva bhutishu. Sama means I'm equal. Sarva bhuteshu, that means I'm equal to everyone. Name dvesho stinapriya. Dvesha means I am not, dvesha means I am not inimical to anybody, right? I'm not envious of anybody. And stina na priyaha. Nobody is even a friend to me, right? No, I'm not partial to anyone, right? Dvesha means to be envious of somebody, right? Namat dvesho stina priyaha. I am neither envious of anybody, nor am I partial to anybody, right? The sun gives the sunlight to every place, every nook and corner. Unless we want to lock ourselves inside a dark room, there also sun comes inside, isn't it? So like the sun, which gives sunlight to all the places without discrimination. Similarly, the Lord is also not partial to anyone. The Lord is equal to everyone. Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya. However, those who render service to me, Krishna is saying, ye bhajanti tumam, ma means to me, bhaktya means devotion. Bhajanti means devotion, bhaktya means those devotees. Mayi te teshu chapyam. That means such a person is always in me, is my friend, and I'm also a friend to him, right? And how is Samoham Sarvabhutishu also? Krishna is there and there's the Paramatman in everybody's heart. It is only that some people turn towards Krishna. Those who are devotees, they turn towards Krishna. They ask for the permission of Krishna, right? How we get the permission of Krishna? Through our senior devotees, through our Shiksha Gurus, through our Diksha Guru, through the writings of Srila Prabhupada. We know have this discrimination, we have this intelligence. What should I do? What should I not do? How should I do? What is the purpose of my doing activities? All of this, when we know in knowledge and when we perform our activity in devotion to the Lord, then the Lord says, such a devotee is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Okay. Karpavali Mataji, continue. Krishna is not in want of money.
Krishna is not in want of money, for he is the original proprietor of everything. Isa vasam idam sarvam. But still, he asks for us for charity. For example, Krishna in the guise of Vamana, a dwarf Brahmana went to beg from Bali Maharaja. Even though he is Sarvaloka Mageshwaram, the proprietor of all the planets, he nonetheless says, please give me in charity to me. Please give in charity to me. Why? It is for our interest. For the sooner we return to Krishna's money to Krishna, the better situated we will be. Of course, this may not be very pleasant to hear, but actually we are all thieves, for we have stolen God's property. For if one who has something is not God conscious, it is to be understood that he has stolen God's property. That is the nature of the material life. If this is considered thoughtfully, and if one comes to real knowledge, he will realize that if we do not understand God, whose property we are using, whatever we possess is stolen property. It is also stated in Bhagavad Gita that if one does not spend his money for yajna, sacrifice, he is understood to be a thief. Yo buntes tina evasha. For instance, if one earns a great deal of money, he tries to hide it to avoid paying income tax. The government considers him to be a criminal. He cannot say, I have earned this money. What shall I pay tax to the government? Why shall I pay tax to the government? No, he must pay or risk punishment. Similarly, in the highest sense, everything we have is Krishna's or God's, and it must be utilized in accordance with his desires. We may wish to construct a building, but where do we get the stone, wood, earth, and the construction buildings? But where do we get the stone wood construction requires? We cannot artificially produce the wood. It is God's property. We cannot produce a metal. We must take it from the mine, which is also God's property. The earth and the bricks which are made from it are also God's. We simply give our labor, but that labor is also God's property. We work with our hands, but they are not our hands, but God's. For when the power is used, power to use the hand is withdrawn by God, the hand becomes useless.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Dandavats. So here we were talking about, the other day we were talking about, the mind has a function of thinking, feeling, and willing. right? So when I asked, like, any devotees who want to read, right, I can see Rituparna Bhattacharya Mataji is raising her hand, virtual hand, right? Why does she raise the hand? Because she wants to read, right? So thinking, feeling, and willing, the willing function is executed by the mind. And when my mind wills to do something, right, there are certain actions I can do. Like Mataji has raised her virtual hand. I am raising my hand like that, right? Does that mean that my mind can control all the activities of my body? No, right? My mind does not control all the activities, right? We were discussing the other day how the breathing function, the digestion function, the the kidney functions, the functions of the liver, the functions of the heart, the functions of the belly, the functions of the genitals, all of these functions are carried out automatically, right? If we were to get the function of breathing, we were discussing the other day how we cannot even sleep, isn't it? When we sleep, we will not breathe, because we can perform only one activity at a time. When I'm sitting here and I'm talking, I cannot go into the kitchen and cook, right? I have to be in one place. I can do only one activity, but simultaneously, what is happening, right? My breathing process is also going on. Why? Because it is automatic. I am not doing a voluntary activity of breathing, right? Breathing automatically happens. Similarly, when if a person's hand is paralyzed for some reason, due to some illness, right? However much that person may will to raise his hand, he will not be able to raise his hand. So whatever is ours, whatever we claim to be ours, is actually given to us by the Lord. And the Lord is the supreme sanctioner. Without the sanction of the Lord, not even a blade of grass can move, right? I can raise my hand now because the sanction of the Lord is there, right? But, in some cases, when somebody has paralysis or something, we discussed, right? So that person, although willing to do something, right, may not be able to do it because his hand is paralyzed. Even in our normal situation, right? Even when we want to go to the temple, so we have to take a rig. When we go out, we see that all the rickshaws are on strike, all the buses are on strike. So how do we go? We cannot go, right? We may desire to do certain things, but unless and until there is a sanction by the Paramatma, the Prakriti or the material energy will not facilitate it, right? But when the sanction of the Lord is there, then what happens? Then we will get the auto, we will get the bus and whatever, and then we can go ahead with our activity. Because it's sanctioned by the Lord, Prakriti has arranged it, in the material nature, has arranged it for us so that we can perform that particular activity. That's what Prabhupada is saying here. The power to use the hand, it's not the hand, it's anything, whatever resources, whatever, the working senses or the the mind, whatever, right? When the power to use our mind is also withdrawn to the Lord, then our mind is, thinking of all sorts of nonsensical things, right? Some days we think, that, oh my God, why am I not able to chant at all properly today? Right? Then we go back and check, what did I do the previous day? Did I commit any Vaishnava aparadh? Because of which the Lord has removed his mercy. I'm not able to chant today. Today is especially bad. Then you go back and think, what did I do yesterday? Did I do anything that the Lord or his devotees have withdrawn their mercy from me? Right? Why am I not able to chant like that? So as the consciousness evolves, we're able to clearly understand, right, what happens, why it happens. And then we go back and introspect to find certain things which will help us advance in devotional service. So that's what is mentioned here. If the mercy of the Lord is withdrawn, then we may not be able to perform the activities that we intend to do, like that. All right. Rituparna Bhattacharya Mataji, go ahead. We should use this great opportunity from there.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
We should use this great opportunity in human life to understand all these points which are mentioned in the authoritative books of Vedic knowledge, like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami declares that real attainment necessitates thoughtfulness, sobriety, and meditation. One must consider whether he is the body or whether he is transcendental to the body, and one must try to know what God is. These ideas are to be studied in Krishna consciousness. We should not be frivolous or waste time. If one wants this knowledge, he has to practice austerity, tapasya. And the beginning of tapasya, as already explained, is brahmacharya, celibacy or restricted sex life. The pilot of material attraction is sex, not only for human society but for human society also.
Mataji, I can see a lot of disturbance.
Sparrows and pigeons have sex 300 times daily. Although they are restricted vegetarians, and a lion, which is not a vegetarian, has sex once a year. Spiritual life is not a question. Materialism, but of understanding higher knowledge. When one comes to the platform of elevated knowledge, he naturally becomes a vegetarian. Pandita Samadarshina. Bhagavad Gita 5.18. One who is very highly learned does not distinguish between a learned scholar, a brahmana, an elephant, a dog, and a cow. He is Samadarshi. His vision enables him to see them all equally. How is this? He does not see the body but the soul, the spiritual spark Brahman. He thinks here is a dog, but it is also a living entity, although by his past karma he has become a dog. And this learned scholar is also a living spark, but he has taken good birth because of his past karma. When one comes to that position, he does not see the body but the spiritual spark, and he does not distinguish between one living entity and another. Actually, we do not.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
So, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Swapakecha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Right, that's what is mentioned here. What does a Pandita or a learned scholar see? He sees Vidya Vinaya Sampanne because he's got this knowledge, right? Because the knowledge is Sampanne. That means complete knowledge is there in his heart. What happens? Brahmane Gavi Hastini, right? So he sees Brahmana, an elephant, a dog, and a cow, right? All of these as spiritual sparks and not as individual bodies, right? Oh, this is a cow, this is a cow here, this is a dog eater, this is an elephant, right? Gavi Hastini, Shuni Chaiva Swapakecha. That means even a dog and a dog eater. How does a Pandita see? Samadarshinaha. That means he sees with an equal vision. Why? Because he does not see the body, but he sees the spiritual spark. And he does not distinguish between one living entity and another, knowing very well that each one acquires another body according to the guna and karma, what one has acquired in his previous life, according to the desires that one maintains. According to the desire, one thinks throughout one's life what one wants to do. And based on that, one thinks of the same thing at the time of death. And then yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajatya anta kalevaram. Whatever one's thoughts are at the time of death, according to that, one gets another body. That's why some people who maybe die on an accident or something, right? If they got hurt in a particular place, then they will see, they can, when they take another body, if they take a human body, then they might have some mole or some scar in that particular place, which very, very clearly proves the reincarnation, right? Also one of Bhakti Charu Maharaj's, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, he personally tells this story that he himself was attracted to a woman that he went when he died. Actually, he was remembering this woman, and he was born as a woman. And then, because he was engaged in devotional service, this person who is now as a lady took initiation from His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. So, this reincarnation is so scientifically proved, and the person could even recollect, where he was, and then he went back, and then he saw that place where he got initiated by Prabhupada and all of that, right? So reincarnation is the truth. If somebody does not believe it, then ignorance does not actually help, right? So we've been moving from one body to another according to the desires that we have, according to the activities that we do. But all of it is futile. Why? Because we are just doing punas charvita charvananam. We are just struggling, we are just trying to enjoy, we're getting frustrated, but yet we don't find the way to get out of this frustration. However, when we take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and study this Shastras, Srila Prabhupada's book is a Shastra. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada is giving the essence of Bhagavad Gita. He's quoting verses from Bhagavad Gita, see Ishavasyam verse, that is from Isha Upanishad, from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, from Upadeshamrita, like that. The sar of all the Shastras have been put into each of Prabhupada's books with the purpose, with the explanation, how these principles from the Shastras can be applied in our life, can be applied in a day-to-day life, how we can transform our life. That is why we need to read Srila Prabhupada's books, right? we were discussing in another class how like Krishna tells, right? You should not declare knowledge about me to somebody who is envious or to somebody who is not a devotee, right? Somebody who discusses my glories amongst the devotees is very dear to me. And then Krishna also says in the 18th chapter, one who spreads my message to an envious person or to a non-devotee, one should not do it. However, why do we go for book distribution then? Right? We go for book distribution because not we are revealing about Lord Sri Krishna, not because we are spreading the glories of Lord Krishna. That we are going for book distribution, giving anybody and everybody a book, asking them to take a book. Why? Because Prabhupada has asked us to do it. Because we are distributing Prabhupada's purports to the transcendental verses, Prabhupada's transcendental purports, right? Anybody who reads that purport, any layman can understand how these principles, these verses of the Bhagavad Gita can be applied in anybody's daily life. So we are not distributing Krishna's glories. We are distributing Prabhupada's words, which will make any layman understand who Krishna is, right? So in that way. Okay, so let's move forward. So Pandita Samadarshinaha, that is the essence of what we were reading. That when we get the right knowledge from the scriptures, when we hear from a bona fide authority, then we come to the real understanding that I am a spiritual soul, right? Whoever, in whatever body they might have taken now, is due to their past karmas. I have taken this body because of my past karmas and my past desires, right? And sees the Paramatma in everybody's heart. Because Krishna follows as Paramatma in the heart of every entity, irrespective of what yoni or what species a particular person is born in. All right. All right. We'll request now Deval Mataji to go ahead. Actually, we do not make any distinctions from there.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Actually, we do not make distinctions between carnivores and vegetarians, for the grass has life, just as the cow or the lamb. A guideline, however, should be the Vedic instruction given in Isopanishad. Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvain Yat Kincha Jagat Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita Magrida Kashya Svidhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one must not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. Isopanishad Mantra 1. Since everything is the property of the Supreme Lord, one can only enjoy what is allotted to him by the Lord, and one cannot touch another's property. According to Vedic life and according to all Vedic scriptures, a man should live on fruits and vegetables, for his teeth are made in such a way that these can be very easily eaten and digested. Although it is nature's law that one has to live by eating other living entities, jivo jivasya jivanam, one must use discretion. Fruits, flowers, vegetables, rice, grain, and milk are made for human beings. Milk, for example, is an animal product. The blood of an animal transformed, but the cow delivers more milk than is needed by her calf because milk is intended for man. Man should simply take the milk and let the cows live. And thus, following nature's law, man will be happy. One should take whatever God allots. One should take whatever God allots to him and thus live comfortably. We have to elevate our consciousness through this science of Krishna. Charity is within everyone's heart, but we do not know how to make the best use of it. Whatever we spend in terms of energy should be for Krishna, for it all belongs to him. By spending for Krishna, one will not be a loser. Krishna is so kind that when we offer him food, he accepts and yet leaves everything for us to eat. Simply by offering food to Krishna, we can become devotees. We need not spend an extra farthing. In the higher sense, everything belongs to Krishna. But if we offer everything to Krishna, we will be elevated. This is a sublime and proven way of advancement and pure life. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. It's very beautiful, isn't it? This last section where Prabhupada is talking about Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. Every living entity is actually dependent on another living entity for his sustenance, right? A cow produces milk, but the cow does not drink its own milk, right? So the cow produces milk, but does not drink its own milk because the cow is producing milk for its own calf. But it produces in such a quantity that it is also available for man, like that. right? And Prabhupada also mentions in a couple of his lectures that we are not vegetarians, right? There is no fun in being vegetarian. Why? Because even the herbivorous animals are vegetarians. So are we equal to herbivorous animals? No. We offer food to Krishna. We are Krishnatarians, right? We offer food to Krishna and have only prasadam, right? There is sanctioned Ishavasya midam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat ena tektena punjita magrada kasya svidanam. So there is the sanction. What is sanctioned by the Lord as our quota, right? We are sanctioned certain things. That means we can have milk, fruits, grains, etc. Right? Sanctioned. But then what do? We sanctify the foodstuffs. Right? How do we sanctify the foods, the grains? Because if we don't sanctify the food, then whatever is sanctioned also becomes sinful, right? Because we don't offer it to the Lord, right? Then that sanctioned food also becomes sinful. It becomes prasadam, then it becomes sanctified. Then it becomes proper for us to consume that prasadam. And in this way, by the mercy of the Lord, we can advance in spiritual life, right? So sanctioned and sanctified like that. Okay, so let's move on to the next chapter. We are moving on to chapter number 5 of this book, Krishna Consciousness, the Matchless Gift. So this is the topic is learning steadiness in Krishna consciousness, right? So now we've come to the platform of being a human being. That means I inquire why I have acquired this human form. It's according to my previous desires. So how can I maintain steadiness in my Krishna consciousness so that I elevate myself from the current platform? Because whatever are my thoughts and desires right now, I'm going to get a future body based on this, right? So what are the thoughts that we need to do, and how can we become steady in Krishna consciousness so that we can perfect our lives, so that we don't have to come back to this material world again like that. All right. So we request Anjana Mataji, go ahead. Chapter 5, learning steadiness in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna,
Go ahead,
Mataji. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna. Dandavat Pranam. Yes.
And when one reaches the topmost position of material opulence, the tendency for unification is natural. There are two tendencies in this material world: bhoga, sense enjoyment, and tyaga, renunciation of this material world. Without guidance, however, one does not know how to renounce. First of all, one want to enjoy, and when he is frustrated in enjoyment, he renounces. Again, when he is tired of renunciation, he enjoys like a clock pendulum which swing from side to side. We are thus all vacillating from the platform of enjoyment to the platform of renunciation and back again. Karma is fruitive. Workers try to enjoy this world and reap the fruit of it. Consequently, they are constantly traveling on expressways all day and night to engage in material enjoyment. On the other hand, there are other predominantly the discontented youth who don't want any part of this. Thus, the word contains those engaged in bhoga and those engaged in tyaga. However, we will not be happy by following either of these paths because it is not our proper position to to either enjoy or renounce. Since everything belongs to Krishna and nothing belongs to anyone else, whatever we possesses is actually Krishna's property. Ishwarasya idam sarvam. Since we have not produced the trees, plants, water, or the land, we cannot claim them. Since we actually have nothing, we can renounce nothing, or as it is said, naked we come into this world, and naked we go out. Naked we go out. In the interim, we falsely claim, this is my country, this is my home, this is my wife, these are my children, this is my property, this is my bank balance, etc. Such claims are false because when we come into the world, we come in empty-handed, and when we go out empty-handed. What then is meaning of bhoga and tyaga? In the light of the actual facts, they have no actual meaning. Bhoga is thievery and tyaga. Renunciation of what never belonged to us is a form of lunacy.
Prabhupada is, Mataji, 1 second. So very beautiful here. Prabhupada is saying that we don't have anything, right? We came without anything. We are going to go back, take another body. We're not going to take anything with us also. So what are we enjoying, right? That is thievery. That means whatever we are taking from here, there, everywhere, it's like stealing somebody's property and then using it. And Tyaga, Prabhupada is saying, is a form of lunacy, right? Somebody who's out of his mind only will think, then I'm renouncing something, right? Which does not even belong to me. How can I renounce something which does not even belong to me? Very wonderful point. Yeah. Go ahead, Mataji. In this regard,
Krishna gives us the direction. Sarva dharma parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Although we have created different types of religion based on bhoga and tyaga, we are thus advised to give up all of them and to surrender unto Krishna. It is not within our power to enjoy or to renounce. When renunciation is recommended in Bhagavad Gita, it refers to renunciation of everything that we falsely claim to possess. A child may take a $100 bill from his father and try to keep it, although he may not know how to use it. The father may beg the child, "Dear boy, kindly give it to me." The child does not know that the money actually belonged to the father, nor does he know that he had best hand it to his father, for he simply does not know how to use it. Similarly, Krishna says, "Renounce your work for me. Renounce your wealth and property for me." Krishna is not a beggar, for everything belongs to him, but he does treat us like small children. Compliance to his request to give everything to him is called tyaga, renunciation, and is one of the means by which one can attain elevation to Krishna consciousness. Austerity, celibacy, equanimity, and charity are all required for realization of the ultimate or absolute truth. Krishna consciousness is not concerned with the relative truth, but with the absolute. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva offers his obeisances to the supreme absolute truth, Satyam Param and Dhimahi. He offers his request not to the relative categorically truth, but to the Samam Bonam, the absolute truth. It is the duty of Brahmanas to practice those qualities by which the absolute truth can be realized. Brahmanas must be qualified.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, Haribol Danat Pranams. Right. So very beautifully in the previous paragraph, Prabhupada mentioned Bhoga is thievery and Tyaga is lunacy. Right. That means we don't have anything, but we are trying to steal the property of others, steal the property of Krishna, to be very precise, and we are trying to enjoy it. And then when we are trying to renounce it, Prabhupada says it's lunacy, because nothing belongs to us. Then what is Krishna asking us to renounce? In Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Krishna is asking us to renounce our false ego, right? What do we have to renounce? We have to renounce that I am the controller, I am the proprietor, and I am the owner of everything that I possess, right? We are not the owners, right? Just like a person to whom a house is given on rent, that person is expected to do according to the will of the owner of the house, right? He's not supposed to change certain furniture which the owner has left, right? He's supposed to, but he can do certain changes there, right? For example, he may cook in the house, he may eat in the house, he may sleep in the house, he may buy a cot or a bed and he may sleep in the house, like that, right? So whatever has been allocated to him, in that only he has to manage, right? So similarly, the Lord is the owner of everything that we possess. Whatever, whether it is our body, whether it is our mind, whether it is our senses, whether it is our resources, whether it is our house, whether it is our everything, right? Ishvara, Sarva, what is that? Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Anand Vigraha. Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. Anadir. Anadir means he has got no cause, he's got no source. And Adir, he is the source of everything, he is the proprietor of everything. Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. Sarva Lokam Maheshwaram. I am the controller of everything. right? So what is it that Krishna wants us to renounce? We have to renounce this false ego, right? That our misconception that I am the owner, I am the enjoyer, I am the controller. That misconception is what we need to give up. And that is what Krishna is demanding as Tyaga or renunciation. And how do we do that? That is why we need to develop the Brahminical qualities. What are the Brahminical qualities that we need to possess so that we come to this platform of understanding very clearly that nothing belongs to me, everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, and I am the caretaker for this time being to use this in Krishna's service. And then when I die and when I leave my body, somebody else will come there and utilize it, right? It's not that I'm going to take anything with me. So this is what is Brahman iti janati iti Brahmana, right? One who understands Brahman is an actual Brahmana. Otherwise, even born in a Brahminical family will be called Brahma Bandhu, like Ashwathama was a Brahma Bandhu, although born in the as a son of Dronacharya, is a Brahma Bandhu, because he did not display the qualities of a Brahmana like that. Even Shringi, for that matter, he just cursed Parikshit Maharaj without having proper knowledge, without consultation, right? Like that. So when we take rash decisions, when we react to certain situations, even born in a Brahminical family, when we don't exhibit the Brahminical qualities, then we are not actually Brahmanas. We become Brahma Bandhus. That means you're related to a Brahmana like that. All right. So we'll end with Sarva Gopeshwari Mataji. Mataji, please go ahead and read. What are the qualifications or the qualities by which a person can be called a Brahmana? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Unmute yourself, Mataji.
Thanks, Mata. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Brahmanas must be qualified practicing cleanliness, truthfulness, control of the mind and the senses, simplicity, and by cultivating faith in the Vedas, and particularly in Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna says, I am the Supreme Lord, we have to accept him with faith, not foolishly, but with full knowledge, and practically apply this acceptance in our daily life. A Brahmana is not created by birth, but by education, practice, and knowledge. It is not a question of birth, but quality, as pointed out by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Chatur Varnyamaya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasaha Tasya Kartaram Apimam Veti Akartaram Avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Bhagavad Gita 4.13. One must not only have the qualities of a Brahmana, but one should also work as a Brahmana, for one's qualities are tested by his work. If one is qualified engineer, but simply sits down at home and does not work, what is its value? Similarly, unless one works as a Brahmana, there is no value in his simply saying, I am a Brahmana. One must therefore work as a Brahmana by fully engaging in the service of Param Brahman, Krishna, the Supreme Brahman. How can service to the Absolute Truth be executed? Yamena Niyamena Cha. The practice of yoga or linking with the Supreme is based on the principles of regulation and control. Regulation cannot be executed without control. Therefore, one must be thoughtful and purify himself. If one wants to pass an examination, he has to go to school, follow the principles of the school, and take some pains in his study, and then gradually he becomes to be successful. If he plays all day on the street, how can he expect success? Therefore, in the process being explained by Sukadeva Goswami, the first necessity is tapasya, austerity. Even if austerity and brahmacharya are painful, because we want to be unrestricted, as soon as we are regulated, what appears to be painful is in practice not painful.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Yeah. So how can the service to the Absolute Truth be rendered? Yamena, Niyamena cha, right? Yama means things to do, and Niyama means right, to do and not to do, right? We have the four regulative principles also. So saying no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. That means what do we have to practice for that? We need to practice, mercy, truthfulness, compassion, and no meat eating is compassion. No gambling is truthfulness. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication is austerity. right? When we perform austerity, that means we're not performing intoxication, right? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. This is by keeping cleanliness externally and internally. Internal cleanliness is by chanting Hare Krishna. External cleanliness is by taking a bath, brushing our teeth, all the external cleanliness that we follow, isn't it? So these do's and don'ts, right? These are yama and niyama. These help us in actually developing those Brahminical qualities. So with knowledge, a Brahmana should understand what I should do, what I'm allowed to do as per the Shastras. And when one develops these qualities, then one actually becomes a Brahmana, right? And especially for the quality of Brahmacharya. What is Brahmacharya? To be restricted in all of our activities, to be regulated, right? That is what is most essential. What does it mean by being regulated? Regulated means even when you're having Krishna Prasadam, am I overeating? Right? Overeating, over-endeavoring, everything. It leads to the vega or the agitation of the senses, right? Because we are not regulated, right? Krishna also tells in Bhagavad Gita, regulation, yukta ahara viharasya, yukta chestasya karmashu, yukta swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. Right? When we want to come out of all the miseries that is arising out of our material body, what do we need to do? We need to regulate our eating, we need to regulate our sleeping, we need to regulate our work, we need to regulate our recreation, right? Whatever we perform, as a kind of a relaxation activity, right? All of which has to be regulated. When we are regulated in eating, sleeping, defending, and in our recreation, in work and everything, whatever we do, then although it might seem to be very painful, but it actually paves the path for us to evolve in our Krishna consciousness. Right? Prabhupada also, Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, right? When we are in the mode of passion, right? That time, what we do, that rasa that we get in performing an activity will be nectarian. But after that, at the end of it, what happens? It becomes poisonous. However, in Tamoguna, when we perform an activity, it is poison in the beginning and poison in the end also. But when we are in the mode of Sattva Guna, then, although in the beginning, right, getting up early in the morning, Brahma Muhurta time, chanting Hare Krishna, all the very, very difficult. Why are we doing these difficult processes? Right? Why are we doing this? Because we want to attain the desired success of Krishna Prem. So although it may be poisonous, it may seem poisonous in the beginning, but ultimately it is going to give us the nectar of Krishna Prema. So in this way, regulation is the key in everything. Balance. When we balance our life in such a way that we perform our Swadharma, we perform our Sanatana Dharma, and we perform such activities to the pleasure of the Lord, then we are properly situated in Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we stop here and then we will continue. On Sundays, generally, we don't have much of attendance. I've got some requests to ask if if you can have from Monday to Friday. Right? Saturday, I have my class, and Sunday, many have their Sunday feast program and other programs. So we will see. Otherwise, we'll have it from Monday to Friday going forward. All right, so let's see who all have joined today for our session. We have our regular participants. We have our Rituparna Bhattacharya Mataji, Sarva Gopeshwari Mataji, Karpagavalli Mataji, Shanta Prima, Asha Arya Mataji, Anjana Mataji, Deval Mataji, and Navakishwari Mataji. Thank you all very much for joining in. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gurudev ki jai, Anant Koji Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. We'll do Harinam Sankirtan and then we'll end by say 1:30. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtadishatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya Nanda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Sudarshan Jaya Balagopal Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Guru Parampara Jaya Prabhupada Gurudev Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol, Jai Ram Sankirtan ki jai, Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Gaur Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gaurang